Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, find a way to win, find a way to lose. Please subscribe to the channel. Doesn't cost you anything. Helps me out, keeps me motivated to keep making these videos because there's no money in what I'm doing to maybe I get to 100,000 subscribers, which I have a way to go because I'm not even at 4,000. But anyway, boom! The WBC running a tax-exempt business at the expense of fighters' purses. Now, that's not my opinion. I'm sure we could peel the layers back a little bit more. There may be some areas where they get taxed. But when you look at this, if this doesn't make your skin crawl and make you want to find Claude and Ray, start round 2 of the killing spree. How the sanctioning fees collected by the WBC shall be completely tax-free to the WBC, and it shall be the responsibility of the promoter of the bout to pay by withholding additional sums from the purses of the boxers all such local, state, or national tax liabilities, if any, imposed by the country, state, or locality where the bout takes place, and to hold the WBC harmless from saying, hold your horses, let's not take it to the stupid. Now look, I'm not a sanctioning body president. I don't claim to be an expert on how sanctioning bodies comprise their rules, regulations, the explicit guidance, and the governing directives for fighters, promoters, referees, anyone involved with the sport of boxing should follow. Okay? I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not that guy, all right? But what I will tell you is, as a common sense man, if you want me to believe that the WBC loves its fighters so much, right? You want me to believe that the WBC will do anything for their fighters, anything, right? You want me to believe that? Well, you got another thing coming. Because I don't understand this rule under Section 7 and the, rules and regulations. I don't understand item F. Like, how is that possible? And this just lets you know, people, when I'm talking about the secret society and money greasing the palm of each other's hands, referees, the medical team, the ringside physician, the commissioners, promoters, sanctioning bodies, other fighters. Man, let me tell you something. That's very real. That stuff happens. But how in the hell is it that the promoter got to pay the taxes? Now, I'm going to tell you something. This is like bagging groceries, man. That's what the WBC is doing. It's like having a little kid who bags groceries at the local grocery store. He gets his little tips. He don't have to pay no taxes on that. The WBC is basically bagging groceries. But it's like they're getting tips. But they're not getting no damn $1, $2, $3 tip, $5 tip. Stars line up a $10 tip that a little kid gets when you're bagging groceries. These guys are getting hundreds of thousands of dollars. In often cases, millions of dollars in tips. But the funny thing is, the question is, well, how much money do you think the WBC makes every year? How much money are they really making? Now, you've heard me talk about these sanctioning bodies being pissed off because if the fighters aren't defending those belts, they're not getting paid, right? The sanctioning bodies aren't getting paid. Now, that being said, I don't have the data from 2021, 22, and we're still in 23. But I found a chart that you may find interesting. Now, what this is going to give you, right, is the total revenue of the WBC from 2011 to 2020. Now, take it with a grain of salt. They may pull a Trump here, and have kind of what's that when they what was I about to say? Manipulated some of their numbers, and that data that was pulled I would have to question the integrity of those numbers, right? But what I'm telling you is when you take a look in 2011, let me make this a little bit bigger for you. Let's do this. Okay, so here it is in 2011. The WBC reportedly made about $4 million. Now, $4 million is a lot of money, people. But that's off. That $4 million is all tax-free. I believe all of that's tax-free. Now, there may be other streams of revenue that the WBC makes or they have in place. I don't know. I'm just going off of this, right? And I could be wrong, but I'm just going to assume that this is what they made tax-free. So in 2011, and remember, I could be wrong, okay? But nonetheless, looks like it's about $4 million in 2011. It drops about $1 million in 2012. It pick up a little bit back in 2013, 3.26. Stayed about the same in 2014. We see them start to recover in 2015 and bubble up almost another $1 million in profit. Then they drop over $1 million in 2016. Stays relatively the same in 2017. We do see it recovering a bit. And then we see it kind of spike in 2018 and 2019 with over $4.5 million in profit and close to that same data point in 2019. And then you can see that I don't know what exactly happened here from 2019 to 2020, but you can see that there's been a kind of crash as far as the profit margin, and that's a red flag right there to me to find out what in the world went wrong, because in 18 and 19 they seem to be doing pretty comparable numbers, so something was working, but there had to be something here that happened in 2020 to explain why the profit margins dropped from 4.3 to 2.69 million. But that being said, when you look at these numbers, I think it's pretty interesting, especially if all that's tax-free. Now, in 2021 and 2022, I don't have that information, but I would not be surprised if those numbers from 2021 to 2022 look pretty similar to 2020, or actually showed that it was continuing to they were continuing to lose money. I would not be surprised at that, because you've had the bottlenecks, titles not being defended, and as a result, this WBC not out here making their 3% sanctioning fees on some of the biggest fights as often as they would like. But at the same time, you see the WBC, they're smart. They keep creating these different belts. And a matter of fact, all those little weird belts they create, the Mestizo belt, the damn Juneteenth belt and all that, my understanding is fighters have to pay a certain percentage of their fight purse for those belts. They're not just giving them to them as a gift because it's their birthday. That's crazy. I did not know that. Anyway, I just take it with a grain of salt that it's not a gift for the winner. It's an actual fee associated with those belts that they're creating. Just the idea of that pisses me off. You know what I'm saying? First, you're dealing with this right here. Sanction fees being completely tax-free. Then you got the fact that they're creating these little kind of cool belts for the winner of big fights, and they're still making them pay a certain percentage of the damn purse so they could get the belt. I mean, come on, man. Who do I need them damn? How much belts you need? You know what I'm saying? If I get it, it's a business. I understand. And fighters have a choice. I understand that too. But damn. At the same time, it's kind of genius that the WBC has a team that's able to be forward thinkers and find other innovative ways to continue to generate revenue. But then it kind of leaves a sour taste in your mouth that this is what they're doing at the expense of fighters, especially when you see a lot of these fighters who pick up little WBC straps, especially in smaller weight classes where the fight purses are so small. And some guys can't even afford to buy themselves a house. So, again, WBC seems to be running a tax-exempt business at the expense of these fighters and their purses. And that could explain why Floyd Mayweather said, hey, enough with I'm not paying any more fees. They can keep their belts. That's why they're guiding Gervonta Davis the way they are. That's why Leonard Ellerbe is so vocal about fighters and belts and how the belts don't matter and, having money in your account matters. How Anthony Joshua had that meltdown, just the idea of how many millions of dollars he paid in sanctioning fees. The only person who you don't really hear say nothing about it, and I'm talking about one of the biggest names in boxing who definitely paying his sanction fees, is Canelo Alvarez. But some people feel Canelo Alvarez isn't going to say anything, especially about the WBC, because it's the Mexican connection. But also, some people feel that Canelo Alvarez has a secret society definitely looking out for him because he's the cash cow of boxing. But what I will tell you is, whether you believe any of that or not, this right here, if all of that right there is tax-free money, that's crazy to me. And that should be seen as a crime. Because even a little kid who's out here selling lemonade, hot dogs, popcorn, or whatever he's doing, there's always some miserable person who wants to come up and harass those little kids or the parents about kids being on the corner selling and trying to make a little bit of money because they want school shoes, or parents are just trying to teach their kids about business and entrepreneurship. There's always some miserable fool who wants to call the police on them and make a big deal. And then families who don't have a little LLC formed and to make sure that whatever money they're making from these little stands, that they're paying their taxes on it, they end up having to do that or they got to shut down. And my thing is, if you're going to have one of these Karens, right, well, then you definitely should have some Karen out there involved in boxing who's going to kind of whistleblow what the hell is going on here to draw more attention to it, because I just don't get this. But then again, I'm not the person who's behind establishing any of these rules. I'm just a boxing fan like you all. I just find things a little bit different, a little bit interesting. That's different to what some of these other content creators talk about. They ain't talking about stuff like this. But I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm just telling you I have a different lens and different interests. And I'm a guy that's really big on explicit data. That just comes from my background, man. I like to know that compliance terminology. Not you can do this or you may do that. I mean, no, that doesn't mean you have to do it, but if it says something, say you must, you will. That compliance terminology, that jumps out to me. And when I come and look at this, say all sanction fees shall be completely tax-free to the WBC, and it shall be the responsibility of the promoter. That tells me that it's pretty straightforward on who's going to be paying those damn taxes. Anyway, y'all keep cool. Let me know what you think about this little excerpt under Section 7, the rules and guidelines for the WBC, and what you think about these profit margins, especially if all of that money has been tax-free, and what you think about that decline there from 2019 to 2020, where you see it's kind of crashed a bit. And just, I think 2021 and 2022, those profit margins are probably going to dip a little bit more. But it may recover here in 2023 if they get a big fight for the WBC, a couple of WBC fights in different weight divisions. You could see that number bubble up some more. 2024, you could definitely see it recover and get them maybe get those profit margins more than what it was at their at least it'd be like a 9-10 year high in 2018 at 4.5 million. You could see it get more closer to around that 5-6 mark if fighters get active. But that being said, more to come. Y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents. Y'all, I'm in the breeze.